Welcome to Synoptus Lightning Round, where we take 6 rapid-fire questions with business leaders talking about accelerating business value through technology, IT business alignment, and leadership development. I'm David Reddick, CEO of Synoptus, and I'm here with Cameron Ames, CTO of Synoptus. Cameron, how are you doing today?
Hey, David, I'm doing really well. I'm particularly excited about our conversation today. We're going to be listening to a conversation you had with Michael Loggins, who's the Global VP of IT at SMC. And you spoke with him about IT business alignment, which is a topic that's come up pretty frequently on this podcast. So, David, with that in mind, what is one piece of IT business alignment that most organizations seem to miss out on in your mind? What is something that comes to mind?
So the easy answer would be communication. We've talked to, I think this is number 5 business leaders, and we've heard communication pretty consistently. But I'd like to address a different idea. I think having an outside perspective or fresh perspective on your organization is what a lot of companies are missing. So whether that's a new, that sometimes that happens when a new IT leader comes on board. They look at things and start questioning, hey, why are we doing this? Why is this the way it is? Sometimes it's a new business leader comes into an organization and they say, why? This is not how we've done things before. I've seen a lot more success this way. Sometimes it's bringing in an outside organization like Synoptus and giving that fresh set of eyes so that you have a broader organizational perspective. Cameron, what about you? What's the one missing ingredient?
So I think that it's difficult to characterize one single thing that really hits most businesses. That old adage that says, hey, everyone who's happy is alike in the same way, and everyone who's unhappy is unlike in a different way. And so you find that to be the case with businesses as well in many circumstances. So I think that fresh perspective that you're talking about, that really can do wonders if you have an outside hire that comes in and a new person who's seen something else, or whether that's an outside consultancy, or even just picking the brains of colleagues at other companies who are in the same industry. That often can work wonders, or at least provide some sort of insights into how your competitors are doing things a little bit differently that can really help point out where you can improve as a business.
Yeah, I think we're both heading down that road of you need a different perspective or a broader perspective, and I really like that. So let's dive into this video with Michael, and then we'll be back to close. Today I'm talking to Michael Loggins, Global Vice President of Information Technology for SMC, about IT business alignment. How are you doing today, Michael?
Doing very well, thank you.
Great. So we've got 6 questions, rapid fire questions for you about accelerating business value and IT business alignment. So let's dive into it. Give me about a minute about yourself and your company.
Yeah, Mike Loggins, like you said, Global Vice President of IT for SMC. SMC is the global leader in pneumatic component manufacturing and industrial automation. So we have factories and offices in over 60 countries worldwide. We're headquartered out of Japan, publicly traded in the Japan stock market. I work out of the U.S. and North American headquarters here in Noblesville, Indiana.
Great. So give me a minute about how IT business alignment accelerates business value for SMC.
Yeah, so before we really started working on the business alignment, it was much more of a back and forth. We were order takers for the business. We didn't actually know what was happening. We didn't understand strategy. We were just doing things, and it was never really at the end of the day what the business wanted. So the business was just dealing with it, or they'd end up shadow IT figuring it out themselves, or they'd overcomplicate the request just to get it done. Since we've started the business alignment, we are talking to them. We are able to talk about strategy. So we're looking more at the outcomes that we're delivering rather than the tasks being completed. And then now that we're delivering outcomes rather than tasks, we're delivering what they're asking for at the beginning. And if it's changes, we're changing with them rather than doing a bunch of work and then coming back. So it's much more of a partnership rather than order taking on both and order giving on the other side.
That's really insightful, and that's what I've heard from some other interviews is the importance of IT business alignment and how that transitions IT from order takers into a valued partner. So, what's the biggest challenge that you see in implementing an IT business alignment initiative?
I think from the business standpoint, it's building trust. IT generally has always been kind of that one group in the company that does what they're going to do. And, but it's building that trust and that partnership. That takes a long time. And obviously we're digging ourselves out of a hole that we created. So that's the big challenge from the business. From the IT standpoint, it's being assertive and being willing to be transparent about the work you're doing. I think a lot of times we want to, we're so used to taking our orders, going back into our room, doing things and coming back. They never see the failures. They never see the things that we are going through, the experimentations, the conversations, discussions. Us putting that out in front of the business so they can see it, they can see what's going on, has so much more meaning. And once again, that builds trust. They know what's happening behind the, once they talk to us. So
you're hitting some of my favorite topics: trust, IT alignment, valued partner, business alignment. This is beautiful, man. So can you give us a real world example of a positive outcome that's happened as a result of your IT business alignment initiative?
Yeah. So we've been talking about as a business unit, as management, about needs of our sales staff across the US and Canada, and how do we get them more powerful with our customers. And one of the biggest things they've had is the ability to understand in open public what our available quantity is of standard product. And then of that, if it's a manufactured product, what's the knockdown, what's the bill of materials of parts for the easier kitted products or products that don't require a lot of manufacturing, just assembly. What are those components? So if the main component's not available, they can go buy all the subcomponents. Before, that required access into systems, so it was very metered, it was very hard, cumbersome. It was also on an AS400, so it was just, it just was not being a competitive advantage for us. We heard that very loud listening to the business at a national sales conference for SMC. And then we went back with our marketing department in IT, and within 4 months, we had provided quantity available on our website publicly for everyone from our configurator, as well as the breakdown of the bill of materials that they can buy, plus the quantity available for that. So all of a sudden, all the needs for our legacy system for that use case were gone. Our customers, our salespeople, our distributors all now have access to how they can work with SMC immediately. And it was just because there was a give and take conversation, and IT was listening and then challenged and asked questions about the strategy.
Man, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. So if someone listening to this or watching this was thinking, hey, I'm planning on doing some sort of IT business alignment initiative in my organization, what's one piece of, if you said, hey, before you even start, here's the best piece of advice I could give you?
I think it's understand where your communication strengths are, understand where your communication deficiencies are, and then I would say don't dip your toes into it. You need to jump in, rip the Band-Aid off, whatever it is. But I think the key is you need to just do it, because that's how you start building that trust. The minute you just rip open the books and just say, hey, we're transparent, we're going to have this. I know this is going to be awkward, but let's go. You get through the awkwardness, you get through the failures real quick, you can start experimenting with that value, and you start building that trust much faster. If you dip the toes in, sometimes what we found is we did the same thing. They don't necessarily understand your intent. So they become more guarded because they don't know where you're trying to do. So if you just state, here's what we're doing, and you do it, we've found that people are much more willing to hop in with you.
I think diving in with both feet and tearing that Band-Aid off aligns perfectly with some of the stuff that I've written about. You've read that book, so yeah, thanks. That's super insightful. So last little bit, take a minute, plug anything. It could be SMC, it could be a favorite book, it could be a charity, be shout out to your family or your team, anything you want, whatever, it's yours. Go.
Definitely, I'm going to give a shout out to my team. I think they've done a great job. We've asked them to basically join a revolution that they really didn't have an option to join, and they've done a great job. And shout out to SMC for willingness to really make waves in the company and really allow us to start changing and not only at IT, but we've caused ripple effects that have caused some cultural change and at least some cultural change movement throughout the company, which is fantastic that they've let us do that. Anyone who is looking to get into this and do it from a correct and strategic way, obviously not to blow hot air. Your books have been fantastic. The leadership book there was great. And for anyone who's an aspiring leader or a failed leader or even one who's succeeded, the stories are very relevant, and you've seen those exact examples in your life. But one of the books that's meant a lot to me as we've been trying to go through this growing has been The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni. I think it really takes a different approach and an understanding of where your strategy fits in and how to really engage from a leadership standpoint and get things moving and make sure that people, when you're asking them to follow you, understand why. They really, you're laying it all out there for them, and you're not putting a bunch of sugar-coated, you're not putting a lot of BS on top of it. You're taking it down to your core values of what is about you, and that way they understand how to participate.
Thanks for the kind words about my book, and I am a big Lencioni fan, and I wasn't familiar with The Advantage, so I'm going to buy that as soon as we end this call. So I've got to sit down with Michael Loggins over coffee. I know he's the real thing. This isn't just hot air. He actually is an authentic leader that I see practice this with his team. And so I appreciate the opportunity to interview him and present these ideas here. If you want to learn more about SMC, I'll put the website in the video comments, and you can find other lightning round interviews at synoptus.com and on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And we appreciate you taking a few minutes and talking to us. Thanks so much, Michael.
Thanks, David. Thank you, David.
Cameron, what do you think about Michael's interview?
So I thought that there were some really insightful pieces within that video. One of the things that really stuck out to me that Michael talked about was allowing business to take a look behind the scenes into the internal IT processes and allowing them to see those conversations that take place at that technical level within IT, not necessarily because they're going to appreciate all the details of the conversation, but because by virtue of them seeing how the sausage is made, so to speak, it's going to build trust in a way that you really can't put a price on that as far as how valuable that trust is that you're going to build. And it allows your business colleagues to appreciate what's going on in your space. David, what did you think?
So I tend to agree with you. We've heard a lot of leaders talking about the importance of that transparency and communication. Something unique I heard in Michael's video that we haven't heard before that stuck with me was shadow IT. And, I work with a lot of business leaders, and I work with a lot of IT leaders, and I hear a lot about shadow IT. Shadow IT is where the IT department is so tied up, they're so busy that sometimes the business goes around the IT department to implement things, and then the IT department ends up bolting that on to their existing infrastructure. And that could be things like G Suite, the Google Suite, it could be Office 365, it could be Salesforce. A lot of Salesforce instances are acquired by the marketing department and sort of built up and then handed off to IT to bolt on to the rest of the business technology solutions. Any thoughts, Cameron?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a scenario that comes up. We've seen it, all too often here at Synoptus, where we're pulled into a Salesforce implementation where the business or someone who is outside of IT has acquired some licenses, and then it started off as this small thing, and then all of a sudden they bolted on a couple packages here and there, and then all of a sudden it's a monolith that hasn't been properly scaled or designed. And so it makes it difficult for that platform to deliver increased value when there's a change in the needs of the business. Now, the good news out of that is those turnarounds are some of the most satisfying, because the people who have been involved before know how frustrating it was to see that lack of business value being delivered there. They then fully appreciate what they have afterwards, which is always really satisfying to see.
Yeah, and I think with those bolt-on applications, as Salesforce tends to scale out, we've heard from organizations that their license costs just go up and up and up, and they're not even fully utilizing the entire package. We just talked to someone the other day who was wanting to add on all these plugins, and you were able to say, hey, actually what the base Salesforce package has a lot of the functionality that and you can avoid those large investments going forward. So.
Yep, absolutely. Hopefully, and then they're happy because they have the functionality they want at a lower price than they were going to get before.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks again to Michael Loggins of SMC. This is David Rettig, and we are, for more episodes of Synoptus Lightning Round, you can visit us at synoptus.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, everyone.